Hey everyone, so the day has finally come when I will be organizing the shelves behind me. Obviously some of my books are currently on top and on the side of the shelf and also up there on my TV stand. So I do have a long ways to go, but I'm very excited. I don't know what order I'm going to put these books in. I know it's not going to be by color because that's not just how my brain works. Like, I don't remember books by their color, so if I want to find something on my shelf, like, I don't see how color coordination is going to help me in any way. I'm thinking maybe by mood or maybe by like memory, like where I bought a book or like where I was in my life at some points. Like, I tend to remember books like that. Or by genre, maybe. I've done that kind of in the past before I moved these shelves and took the books off. They were kind of by genre, kind of by mood. Or who knows, maybe I'll just do it alphabetically and be boring. I don't know. But the first thing that I have to do is dust the shelves and then maybe just organize the books on the floor, just to get like a bird's eye view of what I have and how I'm gonna get started, because I have almost 700 books, so it's a lot. Yeah, so let's just see how it goes. Okay, so I have cleared the top of my TV stand and also the top of the shelf and the big pile that was on the floor. And now everything is currently on the floor, sort of organized by genre-ish piles. So just to start here, it's kind of like language books, dictionaries, other religious type of books that I've collected in a few languages. Then this is like the contemporary, so from here to around, well, actually from here to here, that's like contemporary fiction. And also this pile here too. This is, I guess, more modern classics. These two piles are still contemporary fiction, but more like historical fiction. And then, oh god, this is non-fiction, and this is like celebrity or famous people memoirs. These are memoirs too, but more like literary memoirs. They have a little bit more craft to them. This pile is a lot of writing centered. So you have the Chicago manual style, but you also have the Norton book of literary theory, and then like books on craft. And then on this little pile here, more either memoirs or essay collections on writing. So you see, I think, a little bit of Stephen King's on writing there. Other books like that are in that pile. And then this pile, this pile, this pile, and this pile are like, I don't know, political theory, social theory, history, yeah, biography, things of that nature. A little philosophy, as you can also see with Irrational Man. Yeah, so then, all right, this pile is just the Penguin Black Spine paperbacks. I like the way they look all together, so I'm just gonna keep that. And then this is half, well, yeah, the Oxford University Press are the white, and then below that are the New York Review books. And I also like how they look together when stacked up, so I'm gonna keep them. And then this pile is like ballet books, graphic novels, children's books, the Harry Potter stuff, mixed media, lots of scripts that I have. This pile is more commercial fiction, the children's fiction, kind of YA continues there. Then this is like blends commercial fiction but also mystery, psychological thriller. Yeah, it's not exactly literary fiction, but it has some literary fiction elements, but also you can see it being sold to a more commercial audience. So in my mind, it just kind of makes sense. And because it's like mystery, murder, there are some true crime books like the Zodiac you can kind of see, and also Mindhunter over here. And then actually the Naked Truth, I think I might move it over here. I'm not sure yet, but I have it here because it's like kind of mystery, but it's a much more literary book than the ones next to it there. And then, you know, sci-fi, fantasy, and then over here, these are classics, and then back there, poetry and short story collections. And plays are kind of hidden over here. You see the Arthur Miller. Yeah, I have an idea of maybe starting with, you know, the Penguins, the Oxfords, the NYRBs, moving through to this classic section, because some of these classics kind of blend a little more in this section, and then maybe blends into this little section, and then blends into that section. I think that's what I'm gonna do. But I am going to take a food break because if you can see, I don't think you can, but it's 2:50 p.m. I'm watching Gilmore Girls, obviously, and I'm hungry. So I think I've earned some food, and yeah, I'm just gonna take a break and then start. Oh, I didn't actually show you this part. I have more like coffee table books here. Oh, I forgot that. And my Latin American book pile there. and then next to that more kind of coffee table cookbooks. Those I don't know where I'm going to put, but I'm not going to keep them on the bookshelves. Well, the Latin American books I will, but the coffee table books I will not. I just haven't decided where I'm going to put them. So yeah, I'm going to eat, I'm hungry, and this will be continued a little later. As you can tell, 24 hours later, and I have this, and actually 2 more shelves which I assembled last night. So I kind of just wanted to go through my shelf and show you how I organized it. I'm not going to go through every single title, but I'll give you an overview, and then I'll have us peruse some of my little squares. So yeah, just as an overview, you see at the top I have my Penguins and my Oxford University Press and New York Review books all on display, and then Harry right there. And then essentially how I did it was books written and published prior to 1900, which kind of goes until around, actually, yeah, around here. From here until like the beginning of that shelf furthest over there is 20th century, and then from that shelf pretty much for the rest of it is 21st century, and then I go to some genre fiction, some fantasy, sci-fi, mystery, some commercial lit, and then honestly the bottom shelf, which you can't see right now, is not really finished. It is for the purposes of right now, but, well, you'll see in a little bit. But I keep a catalog of my books, and according to my catalog I have like 660. I'll put the exact number on the screen, but yeah, I mean, I read a lot from the library too. Recently that's kind of been my method. If I see a new release I'm interested in, I will borrow it from the library, and if and only if I really enjoyed it, then I will purchase it and enjoy my own copy of it. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out, minus the bottom shelf, but like I said, we'll get to it. But right now I am going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see each of my shelves. So this is kind of the best angle that I could get of this shelf right here. If I can go a little closer, you see this is where the pre-1900 fiction begins. For the most part, these are organized alphabetically by each of the sections that I created. So, you know, generally speaking, you'll see that sometimes it's not, and that's mainly because I wanted the books to fit in each little cube, so sometimes that meant having to shift around the order, and so it's more like by size. So yeah, you'll see, but essentially you see here I have, the Iliad, some Little Women, a few of these cheap mass market paperback Barnes & Noble editions, which, are not great to look at, but they have the text and they do the job. So I also have the full Sir Arthur Conan Doyle collection. So all of the Sherlock Holmes short stories and novels and all of that. And a cute little Hermione Funko. This is from Goblet of Fire. The next shelf over is a continuation of fiction pre-1900. So a little bit of Jane Austen, a lot of Dickens, still kind of in the middle of Dombey and Son, but we'll see when I get to it. Continuing with some Dostoevsky. I still have never read North and South. Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like a springtime book. I actually don't know if it is or if it's more of a winter book, but I'm kind of in the mood to read it soon. Then moving over another shelf, we continue in the same section. Les Miserables right there, one of my favorite novels. War and Peace is also one of my favorite novels. I have never actually read Uncle Tom's Cabin. Given what I know about it and it's kind of controversial history, I'm more excited to read it as a historical document, or by that I mean a work of fiction that at some point in history was important, not that it actually is factual as a historical document, because it is not. But I would be excited to read it for that reason. And then The Tale of Genji, I actually never heard of it until I went to this Center for Fiction reading. It had Ocean Vuong and Brian Washington, and Ocean Vuong mentioned it, and so I immediately purchased it because that is what I do. And then Cute Max right there, center of the shelf. And then with Villette is kind of the end of the pre-1900 section. I'm just more of a modern classics, contemporary fiction type of reader, though of course I don't dislike classics. I just said two of these on this shelf are some of my favorite books. So yeah, but right here with Things Fall Apart, that is now the beginning of the books published in the 20th century. And I tried again to do this alphabetically, but it kind of went south after some books weren't fitting on shelves and I just had to shuffle them. So you see there, House of the Spirits, some Bolaño, you have James Baldwin. I am really meaning to reread The Master and Margarita and also The Fountainhead, but that's not going to happen anytime soon, quite frankly. I recently read Bear by Marian Engel, which is quite interesting, and can't say I've ever read a book like that before. Picked up Coelho Neto's Sphinx, which is supposed to be a neo-Gothic Brazilian novel, and once again, thank you, Center for Fiction, for bringing it to my attention. I was just perusing their selections before a reading, probably the Ocean Vuong reading I mentioned just now. Brazilian literature, check. Neo-Gothic, check. And a book that I hadn't heard of, check. So of course I bought it because that is what I do, like I said. Another book on this shelf that I would recommend is Woman at Point Zero by Noelle Sadoway, based on a true story of a woman who was about to be executed. And the night before she was executed, she was interviewed by Noelle Sadoway. And yeah, this is like a fictionalized version of that. It is an incredible book. Continuing on our path east on my shelves, even more books from the 20th century. You have Ulysses there at the end, 2 copies. The smaller white one I got when I was in Paris, and the taller gray one is the academic one, I guess, the one that I read for university, and the lines are numbered, so it's easier to cite. And I think this is the corrected version. I know there are many versions of Ulysses, but anyway, this is what was recommended by my university. And just moving this is something that I got from the Seminary Co-op in Hyde Park, Chicago. And behind it is some Fitzgerald, some Forster, some Garcia Marquez, Roots, not my favorite, but the book underneath it, The Weight of Things, right here, if you can see it, a really great find. That one I got at the Seminary Co-op this past winter, and it's one of my favorites of the year. And then on this shelf right here, this is a great shelf. You have some Lispector over here at the end by one of my favorite publishers, New Directions. They pretty much published, I think, all of Lispector's novels and her short stories. It's hard to see, but the Lispector at the end is The Apple in the Dark, and Agua Viva right next to it. And next to that is one of my favorite novels, The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. And next to that is another book I got in Paris, but I have never read any Somerset Maugham, but that one is The Narrow Corner. And then, wow, this really is a good shelf. Confessions of a Mask, one I've been meaning to reread. It's a wild book. Mishima was, a controversial author, but I remember really being captivated by the writing of this. I read this for my undergrad. And then next to that, another one of my favorite books ever, Kenzaburo Oe's A Personal Matter. Very harrowing, unflinchingly honest, which is, I think, my favorite thing about fiction. When something is just uncomfortably truthful, feels like it's burying itself in your skin. It's an uncomfortable read, but really, really masterful. And here we have Wednesday, Gone with the Wind at the bottom. Propaganda trash, but well written and, historically important, as was Uncle Tom's Cabin. I've kept it. The cover is nice. It's Vivian Lee. You can kind of see her peeking through Wednesday's braid. So I'm keeping it for that reason, but just vile propaganda, if you ask me. Then on top of that, my little Nabokov section. He is my favorite writer, and this book, the original of Laura, I picked up in London a few years ago. Haven't read it, as it's kind of the trend with a lot of the books that I own. We have the annotated Lolita, kind of in this yellow edition, and then next to that, the non-annotated, regular Lolita. A book that I read by Nabokov that people don't really talk about that much, but is awesome, is The Real Life of Sebastian Knight, which is this pink one right here. Again, New Directions published this. Thank you, New Directions, for being amazing. If you like wordplay, all those signature Nabokovian twists in language, chess, metafiction, all of that stuff, I think you'd really enjoy that one. And right above that, we have some Toni Morrison. I have only read The Bluest Eye and Sula. Sula was another one I read for undergrad, but I really, really want to collect all of these vintage editions of her work. I think they look lovely together on the shelf, and it's Toni Morrison. Like, why not? Back to the other end, a continuation of the 20th century fiction. I will be reading Midnight's Children in a few months, so I'm very excited about that. And also, Salman Rushdie has this new memoir about the attempted murder that occurred, I believe, last year or 2 years ago, I want to say. I really want to read that. maybe I'll read it in conjunction with Midnight's Children. Native Son over there at the end, I just finished reading last month. A Confederacy of Dunces, one of my favorites. The Queen Gambit, I loved the TV show, and so I just got the book, but I've never read it. I don't know if it's actually very good. I don't want to be disappointed because I want it to be exactly like the show, but obviously that's probably not going to happen. It's not going to be exactly like the show. And then the Makioka sisters on the right of the Queen's Gambit. Adored. It's my favorite novel that I've read this year. Highly recommend. You see Infinite Jest there at the bottom peeking through a flying Ronald Weasley. We'll get to it before I die. And then with the next shelf, we begin 21st century fiction. So you have Bestiary up there by Kaiming Chang. I actually picked this up for $2 at a furniture store that was just selling random books. So lucky me. We have some books I really liked, like Boy Part, Trust Exercise. Jeremy Cooper's Brian is one I really look forward to. I picked it up when I was in Chicago. Another one of these seminary co-op picks. And it's in these Fitzcarraldo editions that I love, and it's the only Fitzcarraldo that I own. We also have some Andre Osman, Our Wives Under the Sea, which I really liked, Bunny, which I really loved, Elif Batuman, adore, The New Me by Halle Butler, loved, The Vanishing Half was fantastic, and Lupin right there. And then in the shelf next to it, A Shining by John Fawcett, which I read and did not really like. But a little bit below that, Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo, one of my favorite novels of all time. Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi, also one of my favorites. I gave it 5 stars when I read it. The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois, similarly one of my favorites of last year. And then another 5-star read with 2666 by Bolaño. And another book right below that I loved, Autumn by Karl Ove Knausgaard. I read all of those, but I think Autumn is probably my favorite. And this book right here, this little slim green book, The Words That Remain by Stenio Gardel. The translator, Bruna, I actually took a translation workshop from her a few months before she won the National Book Award for Best Translation. So haven't read it yet, but really looking forward to it. And Bruna is a wonderful person, super smart, very generous, and very helpful, and just immensely talented. Here on Lucas's shelf, we have Ferrante's Neapolitan Quartet. I read all of it, but I started a recent reread, but I have yet to finish rereading this, The Story of the Lost Child. That is the last book. Like, many other books, I hope that I get to it soon. Not sure if that's actually going to happen, but hoping it will. Other books here that I loved, Garth Greenwell, anything Garth Greenwell. So What Belongs to You was incredible. Everyone should read it. Really loved The Other Black Girl. And when I read 1,000 Splendid Suns years and years ago, I really liked it. The Kite Runner also. So Khaled Hosseini seems to be an author that I get along with very well. And an obligatory little close-up of Lucas. Then next shelf we have Tsitsi Dangaremba's Nervous Conditions. I wanted to read the entire trilogy of books as one of my big books for 2025. Let's see if I'm patient enough to wait until next year for that, but if not, the first book I can always grab. Whereabouts there by Jhumpa Lahiri is actually signed. I adore Jhumpa Lahiri. If you've watched videos on my channel, you know this already. She is majestic. I wish I can be her. She's amazing. Goodbye Vitamin by Rachel Khong is a 5-star read for me. adored it and was actually a big influence on my graduate school thesis. So I really am looking forward to her new novel, which is coming out, I think, later this month. I'm actually part of a reading group which is centered around the Asian diaspora in New York City, and her new novel is going to be one of the books that we read. So I am really looking forward to that. Then we have another one of my favorite authors, Kazuo Ishiguro. I own all of his books, and I have only read A Pale View of Hills, The Remains of the Day, An Artist of the Floating World. I think that's it. I've seen the movie Never Let Me Go, but have yet to read the novel. On this shelf, I've also read and loved Greek Lessons, Vladimir by Julia May Jonas, and I enjoyed Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukovka. All right, next little shelf. We have some Tiffany McDaniel. Betty I loved, one of my favorites of last year. The Song of Achilles I loved, also one of my favorites of last year. A Touch of Jen by Beth Morgan is very strange, but if you like daring fiction, I would say give it a go. My Heart by Zemejdin Mehmedinovic is a masterpiece. I gave it 5 stars when I read it. I loved it. Highly recommend. Everyone go read it. It's so good. Catapult actually published it. That's another one of my favorites. And next to that is Valmiki's Daughter by Shani Mutu. I read this for my master's program, and I don't really hear anyone talking about Shani Mutu. She is a Caribbean writer. I do highly recommend this book. If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga, I must read this year. I must. It's calling to me. I need to read it. I am just going to go down to the shelf right below it, instead of following the order, just because it's easier for me right now. This is kind of a random shelf. This is one of the shelves that in the future I will, revisit and clean up. This along with like everything on the bottom shelf, which you're not going to see the majority of because the couch is blocking it. But for now, on the shelf, this is, plays for the most part. So the complete Shakespeare at the bottom, the red, the Penguin, Arthur Miller, so all of Arthur Miller's works right above that. Then the few plays that I do have a highlight is The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. And then this was really supposed to be the start of nonfiction and memoirs and stuff, but because the bottom shelf is a mess, I just kind of threw random books into the space that was left on this shelf. So you have some Isabel Wilkerson there, you have Niall DeMarco's Deaf Utopia, you have another Akwaeke Emezi, Dear Cynthia, you have Black Klansman by Ron Stallworth, Ake, The Years of Childhood by Wole Soyinka, etc. One that I really want to read, which should be fairly short, is called Behind the Scenes. And I heard of this designer that it's essentially it's diary entries of this woman. God, I forgot her first name, but her last name is Keckley, and she was a Black fashion designer, and she designed a lot of her own clothing and then designed Mrs. Lincoln's clothing. And I had never heard of that until Haute Le Mode mentioned it in one of his videos. So I thought that sounded really fascinating. And that is that slim brown maroonish book next to A Movable Feast. All right, we're gonna have to angle it like this for the next shelf. You can see this is more of sci-fi fantasy horror. So you have the complete tales and poems of Edgar Allan Poe, then N.K. Jemison's The Fifth Season Broken Earth trilogy, Sophie's World, that copy, which is the topmost book right here, that is my high school copy. I remember they let us take extra copies home if we wanted, and so I took my copy. And then we have Dune, book 1 and 2, A Song of Ice and Fire right below it. We're never gonna get the final installments. We're just never gonna get them. And let's just take a look at 11 L. So I can't get a great angle of this next shelf. That's why you're like up close and personal with these books. But first, say hi to the Demogorgon. Then you have Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I plan to read soon because I want to see the film adaptation. Oh yeah, and so this shelf is kind of commercial fiction-ish slash mystery slash fantasy, more genre fiction, essentially, more plot-heavy stuff. So yeah, The Midnight Library, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, The Little Stranger, Lovecraft Country, some Donna Tartt, Tana French. I love Tana French. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, one of my favorites from last year. Mindhunter, and House of Leaves at the bottom. We really are up close and personal with these books. So, The Lord of the Rings in 1 volume. The Hobbit, Flowers for Algernon right here, which was a favorite in middle school for me. It'd be interesting to reread it. I don't think I would feel the same now. The Goldfinch at the end there. And again, Demogorgon. Bad angle again, but it's the best we could do here. This is kind of the same as the previous section, plot-driven novels. So up there, you have The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of a Window and Disappeared. I got that one in France, so yeah, never finished reading it, but I know there's a movie adaptation to it, and it's supposed to be really fun. Beneath that, Zodiac, Geek Love was really great, controversial, but I liked it. Then you have Ruiz Zafón, his Cemetery of Forgotten Books series. We have the great Brian Washington. Yeah, this is obviously the part where, I prioritize size of the novels than, continuing the alphabetized section that I had going on, because he does not really belong on the shelf, but whatever. You also have Above the Salt by Catherine Vaz and The Art of Losing by Alice Zenith. 2 books I haven't read, but look forward to reading soon. And over here, one that I will just mention is Wound by Oksana Vasyakina, another Catapult book that I hope to read soon. It's a recent release. All right, now we're back at the other end. This is a continuation of that 21st century section. So you have on top there one of my favorite novels ever, Ocean Vuong, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. Some Murakami. Warlight is actually signed, even though I didn't really like that book, but hey, I'll be reading A Tale for the Time Being later this year. Lost on Me was a highlight of last year. I really liked that. Roses in the Mouth is one of the books that I'll be reading in the Asian Diaspora book class that I'm taking. The God of Small Things. What a masterclass in writing. Really, really loved that book. And down here, Julia by Sandra Newman. That one I want to read in conjunction with 1984. I've read 1984, but it's been a while, so I would like to reread it and just see what this book, Julia, is trying to do. And then Night Crawling, I actually found in a little library a couple of weeks ago. I never really have that great of luck when I go to the little libraries, but I couldn't believe it. When I saw it, I grabbed it because it's just that never happens. You know, it's usually like kids' books or manuals or things like that, but was very glad I finally saw a book that I've actually wanted to read for a very long time. And then this shelf, which is next to that one, we continue 21st century fiction with some Sally Rooney, YN by Esther Yee. People need to read this book. I want more people to talk about it. It's so weird and wacky and gorgeously written. Oh my god, Esther Yee is an incredible writer. Another book that I really want to read here is Harrow by Joy Williams. Nowhere to Be Found by Besua, 5 stars, adored. Same with We the Animals. Justin Torres is an incredible writer. Then a little bit, you can kind of see we have that black book is actually Blackouts by Justin Torres. Belladonna by Anbara Salam. We have Zadie Smith's The Fraud, which is a signed copy, yes. And then, so, as you can see, my couch blocks the very bottom shelves, except those 2, well, kind of 3, which I will get to in a second, but let me just try to show you what is at the bottom. This is the nonfiction, or what is supposed to be the nonfiction, but it's just me stuffing the books that remained at the bottom. So you can maybe kind of see, let me see if I can like zoom in a little bit. Some film books, Norrin Anthology of Poetry, American Literature, some ballet books, more film books. Oh, I Love Bottoman, essay collection. Yeah, it's just miscellaneous. And pretty much, you really can't even see it, but it's like political theory down there, school books, more film books, some more ballet books, some history books. Yeah, it's a shame that the nonfiction shelf has to be in this condition, this state right now, but in the future, and I'm talking in the future, like 2 years maybe, I'm hoping I can get a smaller couch that will allow me to, you know, access all of the shelves that I have. But for now, I've just had to stuff what I couldn't really fit on the other shelves on that bottom shelf. So, yeah. Isn't Ron cute? Look at Ron. Alright, so I have brought you to the bottom just to see the bottom shelves that we can see. Basically, it's children's books, some graphic novels, Harry Potter, and then you get a sneak peek of that political theory shelf of miscellany. So, yeah, let's just take a look. Okay. Harry Potter. What else is there to say? These are my first editions. First edition. This Sorcerer's Stone, this purple one, is not a first edition. I got it in the New York Harry Potter store. The mass market paperback is the first copy that I got of the book. And then we have the physical hard copy editions of those screenplays. Yeah. And some Spanish editions of Sorcerer's Stone and also Chamber of Secrets. The next time that I read the series, which I kind of have the itch to do it soon, I want it to be in Spanish. So I have 2 at least on the go. Next to that, oh, and Dobby. Let me just show you how cute. A series of unfortunate events. I have up to book 11, so I'm missing 2. And then on top of that, these were some of my favorite books when I was younger. The Noel Streatfeild's shoes, you know, dancing shoes, theater shoes, ballet shoes. I loved those books. So I kept them. Then more miscellaneous stuff. The Normal People scripts. Big book here is actually on its side because it's too big to fit upright. I forgot what exactly it's called. It's a graphic novel. It's like Binky something something's Book of the Virgin Mary. I don't know. I'll put the title on the screen. I read that one when I was in undergrad. We have Lolita, the screenplay, which I believe Nabokov was actually nominated for an Oscar for, along with Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick definitely revised Nabokov's script. So the movie that we get and the script that we really know is kind of mainly Kubrick. Then on this shelf, yes, that is in fact Twilight. That's one of the books I got from the little library. I want to do a video where I reread the Twilight series. Is it a mistake? Possibly. But I think it'll be kind of fun to do so. At least I have the first one. And then Heartstopper there, Black Hole. If you like the movie It Follows, I think you'd like that graphic novel. You see Persepolis, Fun Home, and you kind of can see there, yep, Holes and Push. And quite honestly, behind this are some books. You can't see it, but yeah, I just don't even have room for anything. And then over here, a little sneak peek of nonfiction, political theory, etc. Yeah. So those are the main shelves. I love the way it came out. I really, really love it. But just to show you up top here, a little close up, some bookmarks, my really lovely candle, my Oxford University Press, right there, Harry and Hedwig, then my Penguin Black Spines, and my New York Review books, one of my favorite publishers, and another candle right there. I did just want to show you the two shelves that I did build. They're the smaller versions of the Kallax from IKEA. And essentially what I have here are poems and short stories. And well, actually, no, the short stories are not really here. It's the Latin American books that I feature in my Reading Across Latin American series. There are other Latin American books that I own. You would have seen them already in the other shelves that I have, but these specifically are for my challenge. So there's Dumbledore. Yep, some of the poetry, a little close-up of some of the poetry. The Latin American books, it continues over here. I'm currently reading the Puig right there, Kiss of the Spider Woman, El Beso de la Mujer Araña. Then these are the short stories. Madame Clarice Lispector there at the bottom. Amazing, amazing, amazing writer. Alexandra Kleeman is another incredible writer I love. We continue. Over here, some more short story collections. And over here are, I don't want to keep these here. Eventually, I actually want to have like a section of more coffee table kind of books. At the top are some New Yorker stories that I'm meaning to read. There are like 18 of them that I'm behind on. But yeah, just some more cookbooks, coffee table type things, literary journals. Yep. And then I'm very, very in love with this little corner. This is the second shelf. I love it so much. On top here, we have my Paul McCartney lyrics book. It's kind of a chunky one. But I love that quote and just the way that it looks on display. And then these are just some recent reads. These are the current books I'm reading. Then, well, let's just start here. This is my guitar. Her name is Apple. But yeah, this is, books on writing, Malcolm X's autobiography, the Chicago Manual of Style, just random things that I like, some memoirs that I love, Harriet A. Jacobs' book, which was just kind of life-changing. Here, some more books that I either really want to get to soon. They just feel right in this area. I don't know. Some celebrity memoirs, or not even celebrity, but famous people, memoirs, politician memoirs, yeah. Henry Louis Gates Jr., my idol, have to have him there. Oh, and The Warmth of Other Suns, one of my favorite books of all time. Loved. My language section. So, yeah, Arabic, Portuguese, an LSAT trainer, LOL, some dictionaries, Pessoa's biography, and then my second Harry Potter's, need one close to me, at all times. And Fox right there, because what he symbolizes means a lot to me. And more books that I just kind of want to read soon. But yeah, I love this corner. So for now, that is it. My 2024 version of my bookshelves. I hope you liked taking a little tour of them. I know I didn't go through every single title on every shelf. That would have taken a very, very long time, and I don't have time for that, quite frankly. But, feel free to pause on any of the shelves just to see some of the titles that maybe I didn't give a shout out to. But yeah, thank you so much. I've wanted to make this video for such a long time, and I finally did it. So I hope you guys didn't find it so tedious. I hope you maybe saw some titles that you want to read. I'm very happy with the way that they all turned out, and I'm sure I will do another one in a few years when I change sofas and reorganize them again, inevitably. But yeah, for now, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. And I will see you all next week. Bye.